All right. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Happy Body Hangout. I was inspired to do this Zoom hangout while I was in Florence, Italy, after a day touring around the Tuscan countryside of Chianti. My boyfriend Anthony and I rented a private car, and it took us all through the winding roads, and we got to this little vineyard and had the most nurturing lunch I've ever eaten in my whole life. It was like I could taste the honoring and the nurturing of the animals in the meat that I was eating. It was like they were like, absolutely eat us. They had total allowance. It was like there was no abuse in the food. It was like this beautiful space. And so I came home all refreshed and happy, and then the next day I went touring around to the museums, and all of these hedonistic, beautiful images of people with, like, you know, laying out in the beds with the puppy sleeping on the end of the bed, and you know, it was a very famous painting, and I don't have much of a brain left, so I don't remember the name of the painting. But it was this woman laid out naked on her bed, and there was a little, and she was a more of a voluptuous woman, and at the end of her bed was her little puppy sleeping, and then her two maids were looking through her closet to find this woman what to wear that day. And it was just such a beautiful hedonistic picture, and invited me to such a new energy. We've talked about hedonism a lot in Access Consciousness in the 5 years that I've been doing it, and these pictures were images of hedonism. There was one with a whole bunch of violins laying around, and then all of this sort of these watermelons that were sort of smashed open as though people had sort of cut them open and were eating them like this. And there's so much beauty in the world, and for some reason we try to avoid it in many ways, as though it's a wrongness or as though it's too much. So I really just want to take this next hour to sit around and look at the hedonism, the energy, and the beauty that we can have with our bodies. And we'll do some verbal processing. And also, I would like to shamelessly advertise Grace Douglas, Gary's daughter. She's coming to Vancouver for a body class April 19th. And that sort of was another thing that got the ball rolling for this hangout was, you know, I would really like to talk a little bit about 3-day body classes and really what it means to go to a 3-day body class. I can see many of your faces, and a lot of you have been to 3-day body classes. And I think I know a few of you haven't. So we're going to talk about that, because if you've been to one or not, there's so much possible in a 3-day body class, and it's so subtle. And I would like to just talk about how the 3-day body class really is a thing that changes your life in a way that verbal processing and the clearing statement just can't do. Like, you really need that time and that space with your body. Whenever I facilitate body classes, I say to the people, you know, it's not about just, you know, I'm putting my hands on the body and I'm going right, wrong, good, bad, all 9, POC, POC, shorts, boys, beyonds, and, you know, clearing all the angst and clearing all these things. It's actually like when you're actually working with a body in the sense that actually changes realities and invites in the hedonism I was talking about, you're putting your hands on somebody and inviting that. But you can only do so by being totally present with the body in front of you. And I've had, you know, there are people who run body processes better than others. You know, I've had some shitty body processes run. It's like people just put their hands on and they're not there. They have nothing to give. They're not choosing to be present with you. They're not choosing to gift to you. And then other people, it's like when they put their hands on you, the space and the invitation and the caring that they are for you, that's what changes realities. And if you have that as an awareness at all, it means that you're doing it. You can't have that in awareness as an awareness and not be doing it. So when you're working with somebody, you know, put your hands on them and just energetically say it to their body. Say it in your head if you have to. Don't say it out loud, you'll freak them out. But say it in your head. Be like, hey, body, like, I'm here with you. And I'm ready to contribute whatever you would like to have. We have an hour to an hour and a half together. I know a lot of things. I have awarenesses that you haven't even dreamed of yet. And you have awarenesses that I haven't even dreamed of yet. And I'm here to receive whatever you have to give me. But mostly because this is your session, I'm here to contribute to you everything that is possible in this world that you've had beaten out of you. So everything that doesn't allow you to be that type of space with bodies, will you destroy and create it all times a godzillion?
Yep.
Cool. Right and wrong, good and bad, all nine, pot and pock, shorts, boys and beyonds. You guys wouldn't be on this call. You would have bypassed this call if you weren't already that space. If it wasn't what you already are with bodies. All right. So that's kind of one thing that I want to say about the 3-day body class and bodies is it's not about fixing a body or getting rid of gout or getting rid of a limp or sewing a bone back together. You can sew bones, however that works. When I was little, I used to think that if you broke your arm like actually was like broken off and it was in a different part of the house and like you had no arm. It was like I broke my cousin's arm once and they took her to the hospital right away and I thought that it meant that like her arm was still sitting in the house because I broke it off. So when you're actually like being that space that's possible, that's how you open the door for that person to have a different possibility. Because what we're doing with our beings and our bodies right now, for the most part, unless, we're totally choosing a different reality, is you're walking down, I've heard Gary describe it as this, you're walking down a hallway and there's like, let's say, well, there's infinite doors, but let's say there's 680 doors down this long, long, long hallway. You're walking down the hallway. It's like what most people in this reality are concerned about, and what you've probably been concerned about in your head, is how to get to the end of the hallway the best, most perfect way within this reality. What your life can actually be about is about looking at the 682 different doorways and knowing that you can open any of them and that there's something gentle and nurturing and changeable inside. So, and that's to me, really what, oddly enough, I mean, it's like, seems like one end of the spectrum to another, but it's actually the body processes bring the peace that stop you from that hamster wheel trying to get to the end of the hallway, and they create the relaxation and the peace so that you can take your blinders off and you can start opening doors and jumping into doorways, looking for kinder, softer, gentler worlds. So everything that keeps you on the hamster wheel of this reality, will you destroy and uncreate it all times a godzillion? Cool. Celine says, awesome. Yeah. Right, round, good, bad, all nine, pod, poc, shorts, boys, and beyonds. Cool. So do you guys have any questions about bodies before we dive into some other things? No? Okay. So the next thing that I wanted to talk about, and this very, 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 very much has to do with the hedonism that I was talking about, is like fairies and pixies and other realities, and how the awareness of other realities and those really light, soft beings of light, what they can contribute to our bodies. And I think, like, you guys all saw the image of the Happy Body Hangout with all the oranges on the counter. And those were oranges that I bought at the corner store in Italy. They were like Italian blood oranges. And I've been trying to pump up my Instagram by doing like those aerial photos, that like look really cute. So I just took one of all these oranges that I bought with the cloth, and And it was like when I opened up the invitation of this hangout actually came from that picture, and the wisdom and the knowledge within each of those Italian blood oranges. And when I opened them, like, they were so fleshy and so beautiful. It was like opening up into a flower and eating it. And they didn't peel like the oranges in America, you know, like where you can't quite peel them and they hurt your thumb. They were like the flesh just came right off. It was like the most beautiful orange I'd ever eaten. And there was so much the awareness of like the fairy realm and the softness of, you know, I imagine that fairies must live in flowers and trees. I don't know where else they would live. And it was like that energy was there. So everything that doesn't allow you guys to have the awareness of the fairies and the flowers, and the nature, that's like whispering, yelling, screaming, and you're not listening, because it's in one of those doorways and you're like, I gotta get to the end of the fucking hallway or else I'm a bad person or else I'm not conscious. Well, you destroy and uncreate your ignorance, your total stupidity and ignorance to the whispers that are trying to reach you at all times, that are part of your innate being.
Yes.
And everything that doesn't allow that times a godzillion, will you destroy and uncreate it all?
Yes.
Cool. Right and wrong, good and bad, all 9 pod, poc, shorts, boys, and beyond. So, like, what I'm inviting you to here is like that laid back, you don't have to do, you just be that light fairy pixie energy. Like, maybe some of you have been with a lover where they're actually kind. Some of us have, you know, had that privilege, and some of us have not. But somebody who's really kind and, you know, wants to pleasure your body in the way that it should be pleasured, and that's possible for it to be pleasured. And it's like that space of orgasm. It's like, why are we not asking for that? Why are we not asking for, you know, somebody to show up who can pleasure us like that? Why are we not asking to have that type of pleasure with ourselves, whether somebody shows up or not? I mean, I have an awesome relationship now. But I didn't attract that person I didn't create that person until I was willing to pleasure myself just as good as he can pleasure me. You actually have to build that with yourself first. You have to take down those walls and those barriers and listen to the creatures around you in order to have orgasms like that. So, everything that doesn't allow you to orgasm like a fairy. I never thought I'd see that in my life. Will you destroy and uncreate at all times? Cool.
Yes.
Right and wrong, good and bad, all 9 pod and poc, shorts, boys and girls. Look at Charlie. His life is an orgasm. And everything that we've made, you know, sexual or sexuality, dirty, pornographic about orgasms, can we destroy and uncreate all of that? Times a godzillion. Right and wrong, good and bad, all 9 pod and poc, shorts, boys and beyonds. I was at a body class, and a friend of mine, Stephanie Richardson, who some of you may know, she's an Access CF, and she works very closely. Her and Blossom Benedict do classes together and stuff like that. Stephanie's an artist. And she was talking to me. We were just sort of having a conversation, and she was sharing her awareness about her body. And she said to me, you know what? She said, if I was having... She's like, I have a point of view about where I would like to go in my life. And she's like, but what I didn't realize is that my body has a completely different point of view than what I have. And she's like, if I actually didn't go based on my brain and where my brain wanted to go, and instead I looked at where my body wanted to go and I followed that path, she's like, that is ecstasy. That's infinite possibilities. That's something different. She's like, I never even considered that that was a path I could take. And so I started looking at geez, like if my body has a point of view, a space that it knows is possible, why would I be ignoring that? Like it's not about doing more or clearing more. It's about changing the perspective from which you are asking. You know, like it's like instead of like what's it going to take to change this, and you know, like that, like what's it going to take to fix this, or you know, why am I hurting? What if you change your perspective to, if I was looking at this, if I was functioning with my target as, you know, being in the fairy world, you know, working with my body and where my body wanted to go, how would I handle this right now? Like, what would this be right now if that was the target, rather than getting it right, or, you know, getting over your sore back or whatever? It's like all of that stuff will automatically be eliminated, non-relevant, if all you do is you change the target of what you're asking for. You just have to change a perspective to something a little softer and a little kinder. I was telling the ladies in the Advanced How to Become Money Workbook Hangout about how I was doing a call and somebody was talking about how Gary's daughter Shannon, who does Talk to the Entities, was seeing all of these sparkly gold lights around her all the time. And she asked her dad, Gary, about it. And he said, well, that's the fairy world. He said, that's the world of the beings of light. And he's like, that's the world that I live in. And she was like, oh, that's, you know, it's like profound. It's amazing. And he said, yeah, that's why there's nothing to judge, just because that's the world that I live in. And so what is your body asking for? What reality does your body know is possible that you're overeating in order to avoid? Everything that is times a godzillion will you destroy and uncreate it.
Yes.
Right and wrong, good and bad, all nine possible ways and beyond. So actually, I am one of the brave people who has the balls to call Gary and ask him all my questions when I have things come up. And he'll take a call from anybody. So I recommend, if you have the balls and you have a burning question that nobody else can give you awareness on, just, you know, call him up. He makes his cell phone number pretty available. So I called him up and I said, tell me about what you said to Shannon. Like, tell me about these gold sparkles. And like, I'm like, you really live in that world? Like, what's it like? And he said, well, it's not about what it's like, but he's like, so much of what you're trying to do is you're trying to have the best of this world. And he's like, you're never going to get what you want by trying to have the best of this world. He's like, you have to change your target to that world, to a different world, to whatever that world is to you. And that's what we talk about when we talk about a different reality. But it's very much this world where our body is nurtured, where, you know, an orgasm isn't a once in a 6-year blue moon, if you've ever even been lucky enough to have one, you know, kind of thing in this reality. And, you know, the food nurtures you. You know, it's like heaven on earth, you know?
Mm-hmm. Can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
Okay, about orgasm,
Mm-hmm.
which, like, I feel like is a bit of a missing, like, I don't quite get, like, I don't get it quite. Like I feel like I separate from my body and go into my head to orgasm.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people do. And I think that's like you said, okay, so in order to, like, be in communion with Anthony and your bodies together, you've had to become in communion with your own, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially with regards to like sexualness and orgasm. So, like, how did you get there?
I just masturbated during the middle of the day.
But, like, how do you were you ever in your head about it, or did you?
Yeah, and I'm still in my head a lot of the time. And when I'm in my head, I don't make it wrong.
Okay. That's something.
You know, it's like, I'm like, oh, I'm in my head. Well, what kind of awareness can I get from my head right now?
Okay.
You know, it's like being in your head is not wrong.
That's very wrong. And sort of like maybe bastardize the point of view of like, you should expand out when you're going to orgasm or when you're having sex, and it's like getting in your head's really bad, and like, somehow I've created
you
that
unconscious fool.
Yeah. I'm like, I want real like communion orgasms, beautiful everything forever.
Yeah, exactly. It's so not like that. Like I'll be Dan, we have some sort of wicked echo. Oh, maybe it's Chelsea.
Do you want me to get, I'll unmute?
Yeah, mute yourself for a second and then unmute yourself when it's your turn to talk. Yeah, you're the echo. But it's so not like that. Like it's like I'll be in we're waiting for this utopian ideal where we, like I'm describing, and I'm so glad that you asked the question, because it's like, we're like, you know what? I am going to jump off the cliff one day. Instead of walking down that hallway and being part of this reality, I'm going to open every door and I am going to create, and it's like, that's just not the reality of it. Like, we live in a pretty fucked up world. We have fucked up brains, and it's just not easy all the time. And the more you choose and the more you're willing to not care what anybody thinks about it, and the more people you're willing to include in your life rather than exclude, the easier it gets over time. But it's like, it's not this place where you're like, I've now crossed this barrier and I'm now out of my head and my orgasms have been perfect ever since. It's like, sometimes I'm in my head, sometimes I'm not in my head. And the more I've been able to go like, oh, I'm in my head again. Oh, well, it's like, then there's no conflictual universe, and I just sort of stop thinking, and then I'll go back thinking, and then, and where have you judged that thinking can be, Gary says it's like mental masturbation. Like, what if you found pleasure in your head? So it's very easy to go, I'm going to walk through the doors and I'm going to quit this reality. And it's some back and forth, you keep choosing, and things just get easier over time. So anywhere you guys are trying to be perfect, will you destroy and uncreate all that?
Yes.
Oh, that's painful. Right, wrong, good, bad, all night, pod, poc, shorts, boys, and beyond. And everywhere you need to have the perfect orgasm, will you destroy and uncreate it all?
Yes.
Right, wrong, good, and bad, all night, pod, shorts, boys, and beyond. And all of you who are waiting for the perfect man or woman to give you the perfect orgasm, but Dr. Dane doesn't want relationship, and this person's already taken, and so now there's not even anybody conscious left, so I'm never going to have the proper orgasm. All of that kind of mental shit that goes on, and we just pick up on that has nothing to do with us. Can we destroy and uncreate it all times a godzillion? Yes. Right and wrong, good and bad, all nine, pod and poc, shorts, boys, and beyonds. Cool. So,
can I ask you?
Please, by all means.
Hi, it's Celine.
Hi, Celine.
Hi. You are so funny. I love you. Can you tell me more about, you were talking about change and point of view, and I'm reading a Salon des Femmes, and Gary is talking about change and different. Can you tell me more about that or not? You say, I don't get really the...
So if I recall correctly, and you'll have to help me rework this based on what you want to ask, but change is where you'll have sort of a different variation of the same thing, and different is something that's a whole new world. Is that what you're kind of asking about?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I remember that part. I've studied. Yeah. So. Okay. So.
Because we lot of clearing statements are about what will it take for that to change. What can I do to change that? So right. I'm a little bit confused now about that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we talk so much in Access. Sometimes we say one thing and then we say the other because it's just a different day and it's just a different energy. So you can't take one thing as the gospel.
Okay.
But so change, when he's talking like that, like what would it take to change this? It actually means how can I do something different?
Okay.
But in this thing, he's using change as an example. So change is basically like I'm sitting in my chair right now, and this is my reality, me sitting in my chair. And if I do this, and I sit this way in my chair, I've changed it. I've changed the situation.
Okay.
Now, if I get up out of my chair, I leave my apartment, I go down into the street, and I'll show you. I walk down in the street.
Cool.
And I walk down in the street, and I start talking to somebody. That's choosing something different.
Great.
So that's actually, it's a great point because that's what we're trying to do with our bodies. We're trying to make our back pain go away by doing this rather than getting up out of our chair, going and walking through the park and chatting with somebody. That's like totally different. So what have you guys made so vital, valuable, and real about change to buy that it's impossible to be something different? And everything that is times a godzillion when you destroy and create it all.
Yes.
Yes.
Right, wrong, good, bad, all nine possibilities.
Thank you so much, Julia. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's like, it's just the perspective, and that's exactly on what I was saying before. It's like your perspective has to change. Your ask has to change. It's going to go back to this reality, just like Chelsea and I were talking about. Sometimes it will go back to looking towards the end of the hallway and only thinking that's the best thing and doing that perfectly and doing that right. But if you can go, oh shit, I'm trying to get to the end of the hallway rather than, ooh, what's beyond this door? You know, if you recognize that and you choose that as your perspective and that is your target, and how much can I have fun beyond this? How much fun can I have beyond this door rather than I have to get to the end of my life perfectly? I have to do this reality the best of anybody else. So, yeah.
I have something really great to share that happened in the body process trade that I just completed.
Yeah.
And I think it would be a huge contribution to everybody here. The other day I listened to the body process 3-day facilitators all get together and tell people about receiving. Like if you have aches and pains, you can contribute to the earth. If it's who does it belong to or what does it belong to? And if it's the earth, you could be contributing to the earth. And a lot of us know that already. But what was said in that call is that you could actually be receiving from the earth way more than you are. So would you just pull energy from the earth? So in this body process trade that I just completed, I had her do that. She was coughing really. She had a lot of congestion, and it was I had her pull energy from the earth, and I said, and where else can you pull from? It was just the question that came. And she said, well, it's Jupiter and it's Saturn. And then I was like, where else can we be like receiving from? And her cough went away just like that. It was amazing.
See, that's doing something different rather than changing.
Yeah.
That's like, what can I receive from Saturn? Rather than, how do I make this thing go away?
Yeah, and then trying to figure out what it is you're receiving from Saturn. That's like, you want to stop it or what?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Cool. Celine says, great. And Raul says, thanks, Leslie. Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. There's so, well, I mean, one could say there's infinite possibilities. Like, there's so many doors available. There's so many realities. And the way that you'll make sure you don't choose a greater one than the one you have now is by going, oh, this can't be the best one. This is not the correct door to go through. I better go back into the hallway and find a better door because this doesn't feel like I'm the perfect conscious movie star that I'm supposed to be. You know, the farther that you keep going through that door and the more that you change, the greater your reality will get. The more hedonistic your days will get. You know, the more that the people who surround you in your life, they'll actually be willing and happy to contribute to your body, to make your life easier, to care about you. And the more open and vulnerable you will be to receive the contribution of the fairies and pixies and the beings of light and the 100 million other unnamed creatures that we just don't have in our storybook, so we don't talk about them. So everything that doesn't allow you to be the barrierless magician of bodies, hedonism, sex, copulation, and intimacy, will you destroy and uncreate it all times a godzillion. Cool. Right and wrong, good and bad, all nine, POC and POD, shorts, boys, and beyonds. Awesome. It says yes, like a snake with a lot of S's. Cool. So let's do an exercise. So everybody close your eyes. We're going to do an exercise to receive with our bodies from what's beyond all the doorways and the different creatures that live. So close your eyes and picture the space that's just outside of your skin. And if you could mute everybody for this one, that'd be awesome. Somebody's got the TV on. See, if I was doing this perfect, it would all be muted. You know, rather than reworking and being like, okay, let's change this. Okay, so close your eyes. Now expand your space just outside of your body. And to the size of the room. And beyond the size of the room. And expand it out beyond your home, beyond your city limits or your town limits, beyond your country's limits, and let it go all the way out into the ocean and all the way out into beyond the atmosphere. And let your awareness sink deep down into the earth, up into the skies beyond the atmosphere and into the solar system. Keep expanding and expanding and expanding. Now, let's ask all of the beings that have the kindness, the softness, the hedonism, the no point of view, and the joy of embodiment. Ask them to come into the room with you and surround your body. Let them touch your body. Let them touch your hands. Let them tickle your knees. Let them stand on top of your head. Tickle your hair toe. Your toe hair, because we all have hair on our toes. Unless you shave your toes, just let them sit on your toe skin. Let them tickle you. Let them show you what it is to be a being of receiving and knowing and perceiving. Let them tickle your nose. Ask them now, beings, fairies, pixies, whoever you are, can you please contribute to me having a happy body? I've abused this body long enough. This reality has abused this body long enough. There's been points of view projected at it. I'm just tired. Can you show me in a way that I can hear what it would be like if I was choosing a happy body and how to do this totally different. And please, no matter how I resist you, please give me all the awareness that you can of the reality that you know of, the realities that you live in, the realities that I can choose. Because I know that this reality is not fun sometimes, and sometimes it is fun, but I actually came here to change it, and so I have to get in touch with my reality in order to change this reality. So let's play together every day and create something different. Whether it changes the world or not, that's cool if it does. It doesn't matter if it doesn't. But my life has to change, and my body has to change, and I have to create something new. Because I'm ready to enjoy every second of my life. Whether I'm trying to walk towards the end of the hallway, in the door, out the door, it doesn't matter. I demand of myself that I enjoy my life. I demand of myself that I have a happy body. Okay, beings? So I'm going to do whatever it takes to listen to you a lot better than I have been. I've been ignoring you dynamically, and that's changing now. All right, so you guys can open your eyes. So everything that brought up and everything that doesn't allow you to perceive with the utmost diligence and creativity and lightness will you destroy and uncreate at all times a Godzillion. Right and wrong, good and bad, all 9 pot and pock, shorts, boys, and beyonds. And anywhere you bought that your body was irreversible, could not be changed, will you destroy and uncreate it all?
Yes.
Cool. Times a Godzillion. Right, wrong, good, bad, all 9 pot, pock, shorts, boys, beyonds. Leslie?
I was like, that's not tickling, that's poking.
I got really itchy.
I got a little itchy, but it was like somebody was like stabbing me in the wrist. I'm like, hey, that's so hard.
Well, you haven't been listening. They have to use a little force now and then. Cool. Raoul says, thanks for this gracious brilliance. Yes. What else is possible now? What else is possible now? And like, think about that question. What else is possible? It was designed, nobody wanted to listen, but it was designed to get you to stop going down that hallway and go, what other doors are possible? Not what else is possible to get me to the best of this reality, but what can I do completely different rather than change? So everywhere you're doing your damnedest to change the shit so that it's a little less shitty, but you're still constipated, will you destroy and uncreate at all times a billion?
Yeah.
Right, wrong, good, bad, all night, pod, shorts, boys and beyonds. There's so much possible. There's so much space. And it's just waiting for you. It's like, please, God damn it, why do you have to ignore me? Why do you have to pretend you're so stupid? You're not stupid. It's other people's thoughts that you're putting into your head, asshole. That's it. You're brilliant. You're here. You're bright. You're doing it. Just because you don't have the right amount of money and because other people's brains are clouding your brain does not mean that you're not already everything. Does not mean that you didn't already choose the body that's going to help you create a different reality. And the thing about, a lot of times we make having a body a wrongness because it's like, it's too fat, it's too thin. Usually it's too fat. You overeat, you overstuff, you don't have enough orgasms, you think orgasms are wrong, on and on and on and on. Beings, like entities, beings without bodies, entities don't have bodies. So they actually don't have very good spatial awareness. So they might they'll bang on your head, or like Leslie was saying, that was like knocking her. It's because they don't have very good spatial awareness. They don't have a body. How are they supposed to have spatial awareness? So look at the fact that you have spatial awareness. Look at the fact that your body has edges, it has skin, you have hands. You can do things with your hands. You can touch yourself with your hands. You can make supper with your hands. Probably wash your hands before you make supper after you've touched yourself. Or not, you could have extra sauce. It's like there's so much possible with a body that beings without bodies don't have. Like, even if you're 350 pounds, you still have possibilities that entities without bodies don't have. And you have to stop looking at it from the deficit. You have to start looking at what's right about this choice and start having the gratitude for your body. And I've talked about this. Some of you have heard me talk about having gratitude for your body. And in the Potency of Gratitude call, Gary Douglas was talking about, pick a body part. So let's do the exercise. So everybody pick one body part that you like. Charlie likes all of his body parts. Yeah, so pick one body part that you like. It could be your nose. It could be your teeth. Maybe you like your feet. I like my hands. I think I've got great hands. And so look at that body part, or just get the energy of that body part, and just have a bunch of gratitude for that body part. You all should be looking down at your vaginas. Entities don't have orgasms. No. But so look at that. Be grateful for that body part. How much gratitude can you have for that body part? For its imperfections, for the way that it looks, for the way that it smells, for how soft or rough it is. How much gratitude can you have for that body part? And what you can do is, when you wake up in the morning, you can be with that body part and you can go, fucking A, look at this body part. I'm so lucky that I have this body part, whatever it is. And what will happen then is, instead of looking at your body from a deficit, from what's wrong, from a point of view of I should have more, I should have changed this, you'll start to put the energy of gratitude towards your body. And then what will happen is, if you have gratitude for that one body part, your other body parts will want to receive gratitude from you. So they'll start changing to match the energy of that gratitude. That's how you change your life, is gratitude. And Gary says that gratitude is not innate, it is learned. You learn gratitude. You got to practice it. It's not something that just happens. So, how much gratitude are you refusing to delete the body you could be choosing? Everything that is times a godzillion, will you destroy and uncreate it all?
Yes.
All of you got it. All of your body look happy. Right and wrong, good and bad, all 9 POC and POD, shorts, boys, and beyonds. So instead of trying to have a thinner body or a different face or less hair on your toes, what if instead you went, how can the pixies and the fairies contribute to my body? What is my body's reality and what is my body's point of view, and how can I choose toward that? It's not about changing, how can I lose weight or fix my body or not have this pain, is like in the chair, me going from this to this and going, that's a change. And a totally different reality is, where can I go out in the woods and who can I talk to? And that's a different reality because you're doing something completely different. So, and this is kind of coming out. So, I'm not sure. So, look at this energy. How much did your mom like herself? How much did your mom hate herself? How much of your body has been created based on that hatred? So, would you give that up now? What if you could create your body based on something different than your mother's hatred for hers in her life? And there'll be some of you whom this does not apply, so don't buy this as yours and then start trying to fuck up yourself based on maybe your mom was kind. But a lot of people hate their bodies because their moms did. So everything that is, will you destroy and uncreate it all times a godzillion? Right and wrong, good and bad, all 9 POD POC, shorts, boys, and beyond. How much did your grandma hate her body? Yeah. I mean, how many people have been raped? I mean, probably a large portion of you have been raped. Probably a large portion of your moms have been raped. Probably a large portion of your grandmas have been raped. All of that, and everywhere you've used those beyond moments to create your body, will you destroy and uncreate all that times a godzillion? Whew, I think we've hit a nerve. Right and wrong, good and bad, all 9 POD and POC, shorts, boys, and beyonds. Yeah. Yeah, so all of the trifold sequencing systems, that's the loops of insanity that we go into after a circumstance like rape, all the trauma shock systems and the trifold sequencing systems, will you destroy and uncreate all of those times a godzillion?
Yes.
Cool. Right and wrong, good and bad, all 9 POD POC, shorts, boys, and beyonds. And how much have you guys eaten when your body doesn't want to eat to make sure you don't have a happy body? To suppress things. But it's not even about like the sad story of, the trauma and abuse and stuff like that. I'm going to eat. That's totally this reality. It's more like eating to fill the space so that you don't look through those doorways, so that you get used to the density and you don't, because you're used to that density and comfortable in that density, you don't walk through the doorway of space. It's not about poor, I mean, and absolutely, I mean, there is so much trauma with rape and abuse, and I totally feel free. Like, I mean, that's a whole different story of its own, and that is never something to be treated lightly. But if we can look at it as a different reality and not as a victimhood, it's like, if you don't use that story as a way not to start looking through doorways, that story will be eliminated as soon as you go through that doorway. That trauma will be healed as long as you keep choosing something different. So everything that is times a godzillion will you destroy and uncreate it all. Right and wrong, good and bad, all nine, pod, poc, shorts, boys and men. And how much body kindness have you been avoiding? How much body kindness have you been avoiding because you've never had an example of it? You have no reference point for it. You actually have to start from square one and create it for yourself based on your reality in your way. As the people that you grew up around most likely did not do body kindness. I mean, I don't know people really who did body kindness to the degree that you can. So everywhere body kindness is a non-reality, everywhere trauma, rape, abuse is more of a reality than body kindness, will you destroy and create all that times a godzillion? Right now,
Yes.
all nine, pod, poc, shorts, boys, and beyonds.
Julia, do you have a process or like some questions to ask around when you're eating to just like fill up and suppress your body's happiness? Like I do the light and heavy thing, but I feel like I've almost like fucked that up kind of to like convince myself that it's light.
Yeah, because then you just get into your head after a while. I totally get that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what you want to do is do something different rather than try to change it. So if you're like, what you can do is if you really want to eat, but you know your body doesn't want to eat, change what's going on. Like go outside or like go do something else. Or if you can leave the house and go to the store and do like a what else is possible rather than just like going based on what's in the house, like the either or, like it's like if you don't want grapes and you don't want crackers, like go to the store and get a roast chicken and have that instead, rather than trying to figure out the either or and the light and the heavy and the which is, it's like sometimes it's the lesser of two evils. Sometimes your body doesn't want anything in the house. So you got to leave the house and do something different. Or how
different would it be to go to the grocery store and absorb energy from everything and then not actually buy anything?
Yeah.
That'd be super different. I've never actually tried that.
Yeah. And the other thing is that's a fun exercise actually. The other thing is, it's like, don't make yourself wrong for eating a lot, because a lot of times we'll talk in Access about like Gary will be like, when I started Access, I eat this much. And now after 10 years, I eat half as much. And then after 25 years, I eat a quarter as much. It's like, don't try to eat less to prove that you're conscious when your body's hungry, because I have done that a lot and it's just really stupid. So don't think that if you're eating, it means you're like not a space of infinite possibilities. That's called anorexia. That's not called space of infinite possibilities. But what you can do is like, you want to like, it's sort of like asking, like it's sort of the same concept as talking to the fairies and pixies and stuff, is talking to the food, right? Like you want to be in the grocery store and you want to be like, okay, so you got to put your barriers down, you got to get present, and you got to be like, okay, so what foods are actually going to contribute? What have I never eaten that I could pick up today that would really nourish my body? What food have I decided I don't like that my body actually desires? You know, like Leslie said, what food do I just want to walk beside and pick the energy of up? You got it. Like, you can't do this on autopilot. You got to be present, be the space, and look at what is actually going to contribute. And that can, like, that's a vulnerable process, even that in itself, you know, like doing the whole fairy thing. A lot of people get emotional and it's a really intense thing, or, you know, you get frustrated when you feel like you could be more vulnerable, but you're not. And it's like, there's so much head stuff going on. It's like, if you don't make it wrong that you're going into your head, or that you're not as present as you are in your utopian conscious ideal, if you just keep moving forward, you'll get somewhere. So just go, like, be there, be as present as you possibly can, and start building that muscle of becoming what else is possible. You know, of like, you know, my body doesn't want to eat this, and my body doesn't want to eat this, doesn't want to eat anything. No, yes. Okay, so yes, it does. So do I need to go to the store? Do I need to go to a restaurant? Do I need to, you know, do I need to go to my neighbor's house? Ask them for a cup of sugar. It's like, you have to be willing to stop and listen. Like, I'll give you guys a little story, and Rel has something here. I messed up. Well, please know how very much I appreciate. Aw, thanks so much. Like most things, this stuff changes constantly. I wonder what it would take to become even more aware. Yeah. So that's cool, Rel. Thank you very much. So the other day I was in the airport. I was leaving South Carolina to come to Vancouver, and I was hungry. But there was not a lot of kind, nurturing food in Savannah, Georgia International Airport. So I was like, but I'm hungry. And I came to the conclusion, I'm hungry, my plane is taking off, therefore I have to eat. So I didn't really ask a question. So I was like, fuck, I have to pick between the lesser of all these evils. What am I going to eat? So I went and got chicken tenders, and they were not very good. They were okay. They could have been worse, but they weren't good. And my body didn't really enjoy them. So anyways, I ate them. I went to my gate, and I was ready to get on my plane. And the winds in Chicago were so much that there was no outgoing planes to Chicago, which was my connection to get to Vancouver. And so my plane was delayed. I wasn't going to make it to Vancouver that night. So I was like, okay, I'll just stay here, because that's where my boyfriend and Anthony and his kids live. So I stayed there. Or I was like, I'll stay there. And I said, can you get me on a flight tomorrow? And he's like, no, there's actually no outgoing flights tomorrow. Can you stay till Saturday? I was like, yeah, I can stay till Saturday. I had some things to do, but I'll have to switch some things around. And so what happened was Anthony raced back and came and got me, and we all went out for supper. But I was full because I'd eaten these stupid chicken tenders, and we went to a really nice restaurant. Because I had come to the conclusion that my plane was taking off, that I was hungry, that I had to eat now or I wasn't going to eat. I wasn't actually asking a question. Okay, so it's a little example of how you can look at things. So, what energy, space, and consciousness can you and your body be to be the nurturing, healing, sensual, hedonistic, caring being and body you truly be? Everything that doesn't allow that times a godzillion will you destroy and uncreate it all. Right and wrong, good and bad, all 9 podpoc shorts, boys and beyonds. And what energy, space, and consciousness can you and your body be to be the being of total humanoid embodiment you truly be? And everything that doesn't allow that times a godzillion will you destroy and uncreate it all. Times a godzillion. Right and wrong, good and bad, all 9, poc and pod, shorts, boys, and beyonds. Cool. So I very much recommend a 3-day body class if you haven't done one. Many of you have, because that is what I'm talking about, put into physical action. And the other thing I'm having coming up, Diane and I were talking, and we were like, I was like, this hangout is so much more than just a one-time hangout. So I'm going to do a series. I'm going to do a 3-part series called the Happy Body Telecall. And we're going to, I mean, we just scratched the surface today. There's so much farther that we can get with fairies, with pixies, with, you know, knowing what it's like to choose beyond those doors, to persevere, to create, to change these things. So I want to invite you guys to a 3-part series that I have coming up called the Happy Body Telecall. So let's just create everybody as a happy body around the world, no matter what your weight is, no matter what your height is, no matter what your face looks like or what you've decided it looks like when it's actually beautiful. You know, there's no excuse not to have a happy body. And I really want to, like, I know we got really far today. I mean, I'm totally impressed. And I would love to invite you guys on a big journey out into the ocean of a totally different body. So that'll, we haven't actually set the dates yet. We're just like, we need to do a telecall. So it'll probably start around April, like April 2 weeks from now, somewhere like that. But we'll send out the dates. We'll get those set and send them out. But I would love to just, you know, see you guys be everything that you can be with your bodies, not despite your bodies, with your bodies. So thank you guys for being here. I'm really grateful. This has been really awesome. Thanks for the questions.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Julia.
you're welcome.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Julia.
you.
Yeah, you're so welcome. I hope you guys will take these tools and go forth and conquer.
Thank you, Julia. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Mwah. Love you guys.
Thank you. Bye. Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.